Welcome to the review room. Pull up a chair because today we are talking about Pursuit of Jade. And I have to say, this opening episode does exactly what the first episode should do. It introduces us to a fascinating heroine, an intriguing mystery, and a world that already feels lived in and real. Let's get into it. The first thing that stood out to me was Fan Chiyu. We are introduced to a young woman who has recently lost both parents. Less than a month after their passing, she's already carrying responsibilities that many adults would struggle with. And in order for her to survive and provide for a younger sister, Fan Chiyu takes over her father's trade of butchering pigs. Now, what makes this especially impressive is that Fan Chiyu is doing all of this while dealing with the gossip of the town around her. People are already talking about her fate and her circumstances, but she refuses to let their opinions define her. There is a quiet strength about Fan Chiyu from the very beginning. She's not waiting to be rescued. She's already doing whatever it takes to survive. One detail I really enjoyed was Fan Chiyu's habit of checking the daily almanac before she leaves for work. On this particular day, the almanac tells Fan Chiyu it's a lucky day. And technically, it was. But just not in the way Fan Chiyu expected. Instead of finding money or good fortune, Fan Chiyu finds a half-frozen stranger buried beneath the snow. And that stranger is Shunjun. You see, for me, this next sequence was the most interesting part of the entire episode. What I loved wasn't simply that Fan Chiyu found Shunju. It was the conversation Fan Chiyu had with herself afterwards. She's thinking out aloud, weighing the pros and cons of helping a complete stranger. Is still breathing? Should she help him? What if he's dangerous? What if he's a criminal? Can Fan Chiyu really afford to help someone when she's already struggling to support herself and her sister? And honestly, this felt incredibly realistic. Most dramas would have their heroine immediately rushing and saving without a second thought. But Fan Chiyu doesn't. She thinks, she reasons, she worries, she counts the cost. You can see all of this working out in her head. And that's what makes Fan Chiyu feel so real. Then comes the moment that changes everything for me. And this is where Fan Chiyu notices her late mother's beloved hairpin in Shungyu's hand. And suddenly, a decision is made. She said to herself, "My mother wants me to save you." It's a simple line, but it tells us so much about Fan Chinyu's character. And it tells us that even after death, our parents continue to guide our choices, the experiences she's lived with them. And then comes what might be the most impressive feat in the entire episode. This is when Fan Chiyu somehow drags Shungjun along with her on her back, all with her butchering equipment, and drag all of this all the way back home. And I don't know where Fan Chin Yu found the strength, but she clearly wasn't skipping leg day. And another thing I really appreciated was Zhou family. Now, Mr. Zhao and Mrs. Zhao quickly became two of my favorite supporting characters. For example, Mrs. Zhao immediately thinks about Fan Chin Yu's reputation and insists that it isn't proper for a young unmarried woman to be living alone with an unrelated man. Meanwhile, Mr. Zhao steps forward to help care for Shunju. And what I love is that Mr. Zhao and Mrs. Zhao don't feel like, I would say, plot devices. They feel like genuine neighbors. You know, the kind of people who have watched Fan Yu grow up and genuinely care about our well-being. You know, that support becomes even more important when we realize that Fan Yu's decision may have literally saved Jung Young's life. Had Fan Yu left him there, Wei Chung and his men might have found him first. And judging by what we see later, that would not have ended well. The episode also makes it very clear that Fan Yu isn't just hardworking. She is smart, very smart. And one of my favorite moments was when Chan Yu cleverly used that younger sister as a distraction while officers were searching for illegal individuals. While everyone else was distracted, she kept Jung Yu remain in a pig pen. And to me, that wasn't luck. To me, it was more of, quick thinking under pressure. And then we get what was probably my favorite line of the episode. And this is when, confronted by the hateful mother of her former fiancé, Fan Chin Yu fires back. I would rather raise pigs than deal with the likes of you. I absolutely love that comment, and I love the moment, the look on her face. Yeah. And Fan Chin Yu, she may be struggling financially. She may have lost everything. She may not know what the next day will bring her. But she refuses to let people disrespect her. You can see by the way she carries herself, she has dignity, she has pride, and she definitely has a sharp tongue. As for Shung Jun, episode 1 keeps him deliberately mysterious. He's injured, he's vulnerable, and he's clearly hiding something. When Shang Jun tells Fan Yu that he is the last of his family name, Fan Yu immediately feels a connection because she believes they share a similar loneliness and loss. But I am not entirely convinced we've seen the real Shunju yet in episode 1. Because something tells me there's a much bigger story hiding beneath the surface. And I think that's exactly what the writer wants us to feel. I also have to spend a moment talking about the setting itself. Fan Chin Yu lives in Shiguhali within the larger Lihan town. And honestly, I loved how Shiguhali and the whole Lihan town, I like the way both of these were portrayed. The market stalls, the snow-covered rooftops, the one-twos, even the narrow streets. Everything feels lived in, and nothing feels over-polished or artificial. Even the snow serves a purpose. It's not just there to look beautiful. The whole place does not really feel like a movie set at all to me. And you think about just the sheer beauty of the setting itself. And I feel it's the reason Fan Chin Yu nearly walked past Shonju. It's part of the danger Shonju faces. It's part of a story. Lian Town doesn't just look good. It actively contributes to the narrative. And I really do like that. I appreciate that about the setting. Overall, I think episode 1 does a fantastic job setting the stage. We get a compelling heroine in Fan Chin Yu. We also have an intriguing mystery in Shonju. A believable community centered around people like Mr. and Mrs. Zhao. And we also start to see the beginning of a relationship that already feels important. Most importantly, the episode made me care about Fan Chin Yu in a way that is kind of different from other drama I've seen. And if a drama can make me care about its lead character in the very first episode, it's doing something right. My rating for episode 1 is 4.5 out of 5. But I would love to hear what you think. What was your favorite moment from episode 1? And at episode 1, do you trust Shonju? Or do you think he is hiding something much bigger than we've seen so far? Let me know in the comments. And that's my take on episode 1. If you enjoyed this review, don't forget to like, subscribe, and pull up a chair for episode 2. Until next time, remember, every story leaves a clue. And here at the Review Room, we're always looking for the next one. The room has spoken.